Thank you so much. It's great to be here. In the blink of an eye, if you can breathe, if you can think, if you can do anything, life changes and it never ever looks the same. That happens to me, to you, to all of us. The fact is, life happens to us, and when we look back, our life's not the same, right? My blink, I've had many blinks throughout my life, but one of my blinks was whenever my 4-year-old son was hurt very badly by our neighbor's dog. It took 7 years and 750 stitches to heal from that. It was a long recovery time. Another blink for me was this year I had a surprise thyroid cancer diagnosis. And then I fell off of a horse and ended up in a wheelchair for several weeks. Those were some of my recent blinks. Now, the good news is all of those ended with the happiest of endings. My son's a grown man with a family of his own and has always done really, really well. I'm obviously not in a wheelchair and back pretty active again and different things. But how does this relate to wellness? What's the benefit of wellness and wellness activities? So I've been a therapist for many moons, and I'm also a life coach, and I work as a wellness consultant for lots of corporations. And one of the things I started noticing many years ago in working with people was when they would come into my office, they were healthy in an area or two. Like their depression may get better after we met for a few sessions and things, but they might still be homeless. Or they might be really healthy physically, but be a train wreck when it came to their emotions or their actual life. Or their finances might be great, but their relationships were just a catastrophe. So I started putting together what I call the 4 pillars of wellness. And that is, you have to be healthy physically, right? Emotionally, financially, and spiritually. So think about that. So wellness is way more than a gym and a barely used yoga membership or gym membership, right? That's really not wellness. Those are great wellness activities and they're very important. But wellness is the things that we do every single day, the things that help us stay healthy, the things that make us resilient. Because the fact is, storms, maybe even tonight, are going to come into our lives. And when they come into our life, the only thing we can do is be ready and be prepared. And that's what wellness does. Wellness comes from the perspective that you don't need a diagnosis. You're already healthy. You just want to improve your functioning and you want to be stronger and function better. Right? Doesn't that sound? And we all want the very, very best life we can have. So think about that. Think about why wellness is important. I mean, wellness is general and it's vague and it means a lot of different things to a lot of people. But to me, I want to know how I can be healthier every single day and how I can learn to be really resilient for when the next storm comes along. So how do you do that? Well, you look at the 4 areas of wellness. And that is, when it comes to your emotional wellness, ask yourself some questions. What kind of wellness activities do you do? So some people journal, some people, they write, they do lots of different things, but they really ask themselves and they develop self-awareness and insight on what do I need to be addressing in my own life? Like, what kind of luggage am I dragging around? Are you dragging around all these old suitcases filled with old hurts and pain and trauma, and you're just dragging it everywhere you go? So you're trying to smile, but right behind you is a long line of old luggage that's been kicked and dirty, and it needs to be discarded, but you keep dragging it around. That's your emotional wellness. That's addressing those things that are in that luggage. So think about it. Just take a minute, take a deep breath, think about, what am I dragging along? And sometimes it's things like incorrect things, roles that our family assigned to us, or teachers. I always use the example that, growing up, I liked school and I liked my teachers, but I had a teacher tell me I wasn't good at math. And I was only like 9, and I'm like, I was pretty shy and introverted. But she told me I wasn't good at math. Well, I guess I believed her, right? So then I steered away from everything math related. I'm not good at math because that thought got in my head because she was in a place of power. She was an expert. She was my teacher. So what she said to me mattered. So then I avoided anything to do with math, best that you could do. And then in college, what I realized when I had to take some classes, I didn't have a choice. I actually was okay at it, and I wasn't so terrible at it. And what I realized was that was just something that was misassigned to me. I was mislabeled. It really came from a place of shyness and not wanting to go to the front of the class and do things on the board. But that label that was given to me haunted me. It kept me out of, it kept opportunities from me. So when you're talking about your emotional wellness, our job is open up that luggage, examine what's there, examine a label that someone gave to you that was just wrong. Maybe it was unfair, maybe you didn't deserve it at all, but you've still carried it throughout your life. So your emotional wellness is answering those questions like, what's holding you back? What's limiting you? A lot of times it's ourselves. Sometimes it's the justice system. Sometimes it's other people. Sometimes it's different entities. But a lot of times it's us. We limit ourselves. So those are some of the questions that you're going to ask yourself to develop insight and self-awareness when it comes to your emotional health. And then your physical health, we know that aging is related to movement. People that age well, they just move a lot. And every 10 years, think about like from a 1-year-old to a 10-year-old. Think about what that looks like. How much more the 1-year-old moves than a 10-year-old, and then a 30-year-old and a 40-year-old, and a 50 and a 60-year-old. Every 10 years, our movements decrease and our aging increases. So movement, physical movement, not only does it stimulate the immune system, but it really helps our aging and our mobility and our flexibility. And that's what helps us avoid diseases or fight off things. So think about those things. And then financial. Think about your financial wellness. I was a single mom for 12 years with 3 children. And finances, even the word, could make me break out into a sweat. There was a lot of embarrassment and shame and fear and just not understanding a lot of things about financial security. And financial security is not about wealth. It's about having options. It's the luxury to do the things you want to do. It's not a fancy house or a fancy car. It's about, do I have money that I want to donate to a wonderful nonprofit, many that are here tonight? Do I have the flexibility to volunteer in my community and to help others? Am I at a place where I can give back? That's financial wellness, right? It's not just about having a lot of money. I've worked with enough people over several years to know that the wealthiest of people are not the happiest of people. Sometimes wealth brings its own issues. How do you handle that? We do a lot with the entertainment industry, and sometimes what we find is that people that acquire wealth very quickly are very unequipped to manage that wealth, and it brings a whole lot of issues that come with it. So your financial wellness means finding someone to help you. Maybe it's a simple budget. Maybe it's understanding just simple banking processes and what, credit cards and all of that. But the fact is, our financial health is part of our overall health and wellness. And then I love the last pillar, spiritual health. If any of you have been in a recovery program or you know someone that has been, we all know that a recovery program always has a gratitude component in it. And we know that gratitude and anxiety can't live together. Anxiety can't grow where gratitude lives. So your spiritual health is about developing a gratitude practice. The more we're thankful for, the more we have. And also what's special and what's sacred. People that believe in something, they live longer, they are healthier, they find more contentment and satisfaction. It doesn't matter what it is, it's believing in something, and your faith or your belief is very important to your overall health. So what I found is, in working with clients, People would say, I've got one or two of those four things covered. You know, I'm good on finances, terrible on spiritual. I'm good physically, but I'm a wreck when it comes to my emotional health. So health and wellness is about addressing all of those things so you can live the life you've wanted to live. Now, that doesn't mean that that life is problem-free. And I was just naive and gullible enough when I first started working with people to think that the happiest people, they were just lucky. They just didn't have problems. They weren't like my lot in life, right? They weren't like my family, which was really colorful. They really were just better at navigating problems. And health and wellness is about that. It makes us resilient and strong and mentally tough because life's going to happen. That storm's going to hit. We don't know what time. We don't know how big it's going to be. It may dissipate and not be anything but a shower storm. But we know that a storm's coming, and we have to be prepared for it. And you all have already done lots of things around your home or your place of employment to prepare for that. Your health and wellness is the same thing. You're preparing for your best life. You're preparing for those seasons of hard times and storms so you can relax on those sunny days and those easy days and be filled with satisfaction and contentment and be ready to give back. So think about those things and ask yourself, of the four areas of wellness, what am I strong in? What do I feel like I've kind of got covered? What do I want to improve on? And, like your mental health cannot be healthy, cannot be strong if you're lacking in those areas. If you're worried about being evicted, you can't be strong mentally. If you're worried about how to deal with your dysfunctional family at the upcoming holidays, you cannot be mentally strong without coping skills and ways to navigate those. The healthiest people I know, the wealthiest, the most successful people, they've got a team around them that help them and guide them. The more successful people I know and work with, I'm shocked at how much more help they have and how many more people that advise them and give them support. And, I've had the luxury of working in the mental health field, so I have a lot of very wise people to bend their ears and different things. And I guess I took some of that for granted because not everybody has that. And I know that having the best of resources and the best friends and the best support group, you know what? When those blinks, when life happened to me, I was in a dark place and in a tough place. And thank goodness I had those things. Well, what about our community members that don't have any of those resources? We can't forget about them. It's our obligation. It's the luxury that we have to give back and to help them and to support them. But we can't do that if we're not taking care of ourselves. Working with therapists, I always find new grads who say they're never going to burn out. We talk about burnout. They're like, you don't understand, Miss Shelly. I love this field. I'm never going to burn out. And I'm like, catch me in 6 months. Catch me in a year. Oh, 3 years is hard to find them, right? Because they've left the field a lot of times. So self-care is really important. It's not optional. It is not optional. So when you want to talk about health and wellness and it sounds like, what is that? How does that benefit me? It makes you mentally strong, physically strong, and it helps you have the very, 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 very best life you can have. And I don't know about you, but I think I've got one life to live, and I can't control what happens to me, but I can control how I react to that. And some days I'm pretty good at it, and some days I'm not, and I'm calling people going, this has happened, and all of that. But I have that resource and that community to fall back on. As a single parent, when I look back on 12 years, when people say, how did you survive that? I worked at a psychiatric hospital. One year I worked every single holiday, and I was raising kids. And I say, because I had the best group of single parents around me, and we were helping each other out. We were taking kids back and forth to games and filling in when they couldn't get there in class and doing lots of things. And you take that and you do that with every single thing. You support each other and you give back and you include everyone. Healthy people are not judgmental people. Healthy people love everybody, and you're supportive of people. You don't have to understand everything. I don't understand everything in my family, but you know what? I'm right there cheering them on. It's not my job to understand. It's not my job to judge. My job's to support and then to be supported. And that's really what health and wellness is really about. So the other thing is laugh. You know, what we do is when we become stressed, we forget to laugh. Laugh and find the humor and the beauty in everyday things. Sacred things, if you think about what's sacred to you, it's probably not expensive. It's something meaningful and intentional that is attached to a good memory when someone made you feel like the beautiful person that you really are. That's what being sacred and being special is about. So now that you know, go live your life to the fullest. Thank you.